Convicted of drug possession and damaging police property, this was Jone Vakarisi, leaving the Silver High Court at the end of March this year. Now, Vakarisi is once again in the headlines after his mysterious death while in military custody. It was reported Vakarisi was in custody along with 3 others at a military base. In a statement, the Fiji military said Vakarisi, along with others, had voluntarily surrendered themselves for questioning. The statement says he had suffered a medical emergency during questioning and medical staff had administered exhaustive and life-saving efforts but were unsuccessful. They later issued a correction saying the medical emergency doesn't fully reflect the medical findings now available. A leaked death certificate, which was then verified by Fiji police, revealed Vakarisi had suffered a multitude of injuries inconsistent with the original Fiji military statement. The certificate said Vakarisi died of asphyxia caused by aspiration of gastric contents and had suffered severe head and chest injuries. Queenie Osborne, Vakarisi's ex-wife, spoke with Fiji's MyTV.
I was so sad. I was angry because to do that to someone, like, to that extent, you know? Saying like he just couldn't breathe, like his lungs, everything was just collapsing. We just want those involved to be taken to court, taken to task for what they did.
The NGO Coalition for Human Rights in Fiji is calling for an independent and transparent investigation into Vakarisi's death.
These incidents point to a deeply troubling pattern that risks normalising the use of military power outside clear legal boundaries, particularly in matters involving civilians. Those limits must be respected at all times.
Thank you, Alisi. Now, to unpack this further, I'm joined now by University of South Pacific researcher Jope Tarai, who's in Suva. Bulavanaka, Jope.
Bulavanaka, thank you for having me.
Now, first off, what's your reaction to hearing the news about the death of Jone Vakarisi in military custody?
I share the sentiments with certain sections of our society that it's quite concerning, given the context with which the person ended up passing on, especially in military custody. What this will mean for their civil liberties and just their basic freedoms. So it's been quite concerning in certain ways.
Now, the military initially put out a statement saying that he'd suffered a medical emergency, but then issued a correction after his death certificate was leaked, indicating he'd died of asphyxiation. What does this tell us about transparency and accountability in Fiji's military?
Despite the fact that there's been criticisms about the statements, it also shows that with public pressure and questions, and of course a more open and free media, the military in itself is having to adjust to accountability because it had to release a second statement. And so in terms of accountability, you can tell it's uncomfortable. It's trying to be more transparent. To what extent that will go will possibly be resolved or at least put in a better light if there's an independent investigation undertaken regarding this situation.
Now, the police is classifying this as a murder investigation. What does this reveal about the rule of law in Fiji?
We still have a long way to go, or still have a fair amount to go. It's going to be very, very critical how this is going to unfold, because there are various layers here of trust that will need to be held in place for a number of reasons, apart from, of course, the drug issue, the exercise or abuse of force and power, human rights issues, but also particularly for the current government, given that elections is around the corner.
Under Fiji's 2013 constitution, the military can intervene in internal security matters. In practice, how far does that authority extend?
Constitutionally, it is entitled to intervene in certain situations and has been given, or at least the language in the constitution, responsibility over security, defense, and even so-called well-being of Fiji and Fijians. So it's quite extensive constitutionally. In the past, of course, as we know, not only the allegations, but public record, even as far as the former Prime Minister's book, has detailed the role of military officials and related military officials. So that in itself has demonstrated the excesses of the power and the supposed culture of impunity with which the military has sought to proclaim its role in civilian affairs, but has gone into very problematic situations similar to this. In recent years, the detainment of individuals, the politicians, civil society actors. For some, of course, is the allegations of torture and related issues around the human rights abuses of these individuals.
Let's stay on that in terms of well-documented human rights violation cases by the military. Do you think this latest incident undermines the progress Commander Kaluniwai has made in reforming the military?
Absolutely. It's sort of set back the efforts that the commander has sought to undertake, especially in terms of dealing with civilians in this regard, and especially for a situation related to the so-called drug issue. And so in that regard, it's going to take a lot for the military to continue on its path in demonstrating that it can be trusted to not abuse its power. And also to buy the legitimacy of the general public in acknowledging that this drug issue requires the trust of the public in order to address it. The more independent, the more transparent whatever investigation is going to be undertaken, and of course bringing the media on side to demonstrate it will be better in order to build back that trust.
Jope Tarai, vinaka for your time.
Naka.